Alright everybody, welcome back! So I figure it's time we cover the star of an upcoming patch. Many of y'all are probably familiar with the F-14A, which has been in the game for actually a year now, because it came in this patch last year. Well, now we're getting the F-14B, and this thing is kind of on steroids. So you basically get a revamped missile suite. A lot of it's going to be very similar to what you already have, but the biggest difference, just if you need a TLDR, is the engines. It has much, much more powerful engines than the old ones. And this is going to make you much better in the dogfight than you used to be as well. Now, you'll probably saw me lobbing off some AIM-54Cs. As of right now, they are identical to the AIM-54A on the dev server. They're supposed to get better tracking. That hasn't happened yet. I can't say how they're going to perform, but hey, they look better than the, the AIM-54A, so they're already better right off the bat. Now, going back to that flight performance we were talking about, in my opinion, the F-14 already had one of the better flight models at top tier. I dislike how stiff the F-16 feels, even though it does have that excellent low-speed maneuverability. The MiG-29 has the best flight model as of right now, in my opinion. It feels really good, it can pull plenty of Gs, it maintains energy well, and it climbs like crazy. The F-14B does all that, just maybe slightly worse than MiG-29. In the dogfighting that I've done with it, I would give a small edge to MiG-29. In most cases for ARB, the F-14B does have better energy retention. So in a sustained dogfight, the F-14 is going to have an advantage, and it 100% outrates it. Rating doesn't really happen in the game, at least in ARB. I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I wouldn't say it's a huge advantage for the F-14 in that regard, but either way, it still has an incredible flight model. These engines, they're just so good. They let you gain altitude so much more quickly. You're able to accelerate above Mach much easier as well. And they actually run a little bit cooler as well than the TF-30s, which is always nice, because the F-14A was incredibly hot. You can ask anyone that played it, especially on release, it was incredibly hard to flare missiles. It has gotten easier as time goes on, but that is something to take in mind. It pulls plenty of AOA. You can easily pull more than like 10 Gs like the ADF does. And especially if you swing the wings forward, excellent in a dogfight. So I'm really excited to play this thing. It's probably going to be the best point in the game because you get that nice flight performance plus access to up to 6 AIM-7Ms. By the way, AIM-7M as of right now, exact same performance as the AIM-7F. The only difference in real life was the seeker head. So no, it was not supposed to loft. The AIM-7M did not loft. The big difference was that it had a monopole seeker head, and in-game, they're modeled the same way. Because the earlier seeker heads had all kinds of issues, and for example, if you were flying over water, it would cause the radar to scatter, and then the missile wouldn't know where it's supposed to go. It's not good for gameplay, so guys, you can decide not to implement it like that. Now, for those of you who are sim enjoyers, this does have some pretty big advantages over the F-14A. The biggest one is it actually has a camera in the nose. When you lock onto someone with your radar, you can toggle to your next view thing, and it's going to zoom in on them, so you can ID people from farther away. You can also see a little panel in the cockpit, which, by the way, this is a really nice cockpit. The MFD panel on the bottom right there, you can actually toggle to the camera screen as well. So if you don't want to switch to the to the little camera mode, you'll be able to see on your screen right there. You can see right there, which is pretty nice. I think it's a pretty cool addition. I'm glad they're starting to do MFDs as well. By the way, MFD means multifunction display, just in case you didn't know that. That's one of the things that I've been really happy about is the just generally improved quality of the models as time goes on. Now, I wouldn't recommend running a ton of Phoenixes. The AIM-7M is 100% going to be your main killing weapon in the F-14. But if you want to, what you can do is, for example, this IL-28 over here, the surveillance aircraft, that drains enemy tickets. So I'm going to fire this from like 80 kilometers away. You can see the missile lofting. And this will hit. All I have to do is just, let it see the target on TWS, until it gets close enough. And then once it's within, I think it's like 16 or 18 kilometers or so, the Phoenix's active homing will turn on, and you won't even have to worry about it at that point. Now, when it comes to players, any competent player can dodge these, and I'm sure even once they're not placeholder, the AIM-54C, although it's supposed to have better tracking than the AIM-54A, it's still going to have the exact same pull, 17, 18 Gs, depending on what they do. It's not going to be it's not going to be very effective against fighters. This missile was designed for bombers, and even though it can kill fighters, and it will, especially people that aren't paying attention, if someone actually knows that it's coming and they're actually paying attention, all they have to do is just a hard turn, or just turn around and chaff, and it's going to miss every single time. Now, you can catch people off guard, or one thing I like doing whenever I am using it, if I am in a joust with someone that has an R-27ER, his missile is going to get there first. So I will throw a Phoenix and then immediately turn around and start chaffing. So that at least gives him something to think about while I'm having to evade his missile. That way I'm still able to, not die to the R-27ER, which, by the way, is superior to the AIM-7M. And hey, maybe I'll get lucky and he'll be bad and he'll actually die to it. Other cool things, the F-14's actually got gun lead for their radars this patch. I should say a lag indicator. You probably saw it earlier whenever I got close to someone. If you do like that, great. Me personally, it just messes with my aim more than it actually helps, so I'm not too happy about that change. I actually liked it better with it off of there, because almost every time I use it, it just messes with my aim, but it's there for what it's worth. The biggest buff over the original one, though, when it comes to weaponry at least, is the fact that you get AIM-9Ls. AIM-9Ls are some of the best short-range iron missiles in the game. They were up until the Python 3 is coming this patch. So they pull 30 Gs. They have alright flare resistance. I mean, they don't really feel that much better than the R60M to me anymore after the Seeker head changes. So either way, though, they are still excellent missiles with plenty of range, plenty of pull, and you're not going to be having a bad time with it. They're certainly a whole lot better than the AIM-9G and H this thing had before. And, I like the AIM-9G, I like the AIM-9H. They're good missiles, but they only pull 18 Gs, and so they're a little bit lackluster for top tier. They at least have the range to back it up. They have the same range as the AIM-9L, as far as I'm aware. But having more than 18 Gs of pull is always helpful. And you can see it tracks straight off the rail, no issues whatsoever. This is probably going to be the second best IR missile in the game after the Python 3. And of course, I don't really include the R-24T and R-27T, because those are kind of in a class of their own. They're more like medium-range IR missiles. Overall, I'm super excited for this plane. I am a little bit irritated that they're adding it this early. For those of y'all who don't know, I am a huge fan of the F-15, and it doesn't make sense, to me at least, to go ahead and add the last service variant of the F-14, because this is the F-14B with the lantern pod that got added in the late 90s, by the way. This plane is Gulf War era. It just doesn't make sense to me to add this when we already had the F-14A in the game, and we don't have planes like the F-15 or the F-18 already, which are arguably worse in some areas. So the F-15A, for example, it can carry, 4 AIM-9Ls and 4 AIM-7F. What does that sound like? I think we'll probably get the F-15 next patch, but it was just a slight irritant. Don't get me wrong, I love this plane. I'm super happy for it coming, but it just didn't really make sense to me to go ahead and add a better version of one of the best planes in the game already, when we still don't have the first versions of stuff like the F-15 and the F-18. But unfortunately, anything I say now is not going to change that, so it is what it is. I'm still going to enjoy it, of course. 6 AIM-7Ms and 2 AIM-9Ls on one of the best platforms, if not the best. This platform in the game is going to be super spicy. I see this definitely being better than the MiG-29, at least for Air RB, just because of the fact that it gets 6 AIM-7Ms compared to the only 2 R-27ERs that the MiG-29 gets. Even though the R-27ER is a better missile. Make no doubt about it, the MiG-29 does have better radar missiles. It's just that it only gets 2 of them. And 6 makes a whole lot more of a difference, if you ask me. So, we'll see what happens. If the MiG-29 does get R-73s, my opinion on the balance might change, but I don't think that's going to happen this patch. It really doesn't seem like they're going to do that. And if it does, they're probably going to wait and see just how much the F-14B is curb stomping before they do it. So, we'll have to see what happens. Either way, I'm still looking forward to this. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 5,000 before July. So, I'll see y'all next time, and peace, y'all.